Okay. Ladies and gents, here we are. We find ourselves in B1 today. We find the teacher at the front, we find the webcam at the desk that it should be in, and we find the teacher's laptop on the teacher's desk. We're going to be looking today at how we can best welcome our students in from home, how we can give them the best view and the best sound, I guess, from our classrooms. Now, first things first is how our students join from home. In Teams, our students at home will be able to join a meeting, and we would like them to be able to do that in the same way that they did during distance learning. So, as the teacher at the start of class, along with your myriad of other activities, you are asked to start a Teams meeting only because the students can't do this. So, in this case, it's please ignore test for teachers, smiley face, so that my grade 7s don't join, because that's going to be like, moves on to take 18. We can join our meeting, and then students from home can join, and we also ask that one student inside the classroom joins. This will be the student who has the webcam plugged in to your computer. And then straight away, in class, the students at home will have two views. They will have the view from the webcam to choose from, or they'll have the view from your computer. Now you may choose to turn your video off to save bandwidth. You may choose to share your screen in order that students can see your PowerPoint. Let's take a look at our different options. If you're presenting or discussing from the front of the room whilst you walk around, it's important to share your screen because they can't see it properly through the webcam, sadly. It's important that the student with the class webcam has their microphone and speakers on, and that you speak at a good volume. You do need to speak, like the people in your room can't necessarily hear you. This means that you'll come over nicely at home. Now, where the sound is coming from honestly depends on where you are in the room. If you're close-ish to your computer, then have the sound come through your computer. You be the person with the speakers and the microphone turned on. If you're all the way over here in this corner, for some reason, maybe you're left-handed, so you have to write at the board, then it's important to think, well, if I'm closer to this webcam, then let's have the students turn their sound on so that I can be heard where I am in the classroom. Now, it's always a little bit of pass and meter. It's always a little bit of finding out what works. Different students' computers have different audio settings. Maybe it's useful to look at that right now to see if we can tweak things. If your students are struggling to set up in Teams, you can show them more actions and device settings. Here they can choose the microphone and they can choose the camera. You can also see from the microphone how well is it picking up your voice. You should be at this end, not in the last dot, but kind of about here-ish. This means that you're being well heard and that you're being transmitted nicely to home. So, point 1, if you're presenting or discussing as you move around the room. On to option 2. It's kind of sad that there are only 3 options, but these are I think these are the main ones that we have when we teach. If you're presenting or discussing from your seat, well, choose your source of video, so from the webcams or screen share to match your activity. Think about what the students most need to see. Turn your microphone on and your speakers at your own computer and have the student with the class webcam mute themselves, both the microphone and speakers, otherwise you'll get hideous feedback. From as far as I've been able to tell, it's not possible to have the student turn their microphone on their computer and you turn the speakers on your computer. You get a feedback loop immediately as soon as anyone starts to talk, and it's just horrible. So it really is an either-or situation. Now, obviously, the advantage of presenting from your seat, boring though it is, because it kind of is, in my opinion, is that you can choose to share your screen with students through Teams so they can see your PowerPoint. They can hear you because you're sat next to your computer. The students in the room can also see your PowerPoint and hear you, and you're in a position to take questions from both sides. If it is that you want to stand up and move around, then you can obviously ask the students to switch over. In any case, the student always leaves their video feed on. So that kind of gets around one or two issues as well. The last point, and this is kind of the big change, is what we're going to do when we're working on the whiteboard. Because I know from my own point of view as a science teacher, when I teach, there are lessons, I'm teaching genetics at the moment, where I need to stand next to the whiteboard, and I need to write and teach simultaneously. The despised chalk and talk lesson. Now, in a chalk and talk lesson, it's important to know that when you're writing on the whiteboard in the room with a whiteboard pen, even if it's a brand new black whiteboard pen and you're writing in big letters, the students cannot see reliably what you're writing. Okay? They just can't see it. Therefore, if you expect them to be able to see in the room and at home what you're writing, then it's important to use a virtual whiteboard, a whiteboard that happens on your screen. Okay? Now, we've all been through this process of having to choose online whiteboards or virtual whiteboards once before, so I'm not telling you to abandon what it is that you've chosen before. I'm going to suggest to you what it is that I use. Okay? Now, what I like to use is Adobe Illustrator as my whiteboard, because you can draw beautifully with it. You can type in it. We have it on our computers already, which is hugely beneficial. And I think it gives, when I screen share to home, I can do work on here, after a little bit of practice, admittedly, I can do work on here that kind of matches my level of kind of just about acceptable that I achieve on the board. So if I take a new file here, I've kind of intentionally doing this with you guys. Via screen share, I have a nice whiteboard. If I'm discussing the structure of bacteria, I know the bio department are watching, so I'm going to have to be on my best behaviour. I can draw an acceptable bacterial cell. I'm putting the nucleoid in, the bacterial chromosome. It's always how I learn to go. Never mind. I'm going to switch colour. I'm going to put some nice red plasmids in it. Naughty little circular bits of DNA that float around in bacterial cells and can be exchanged between bacteria. I need to put some flagellae on the back so that my whip-like tails, so that my bacteria can swim around nicely. Now, if I'm airtaming to the board or I'm cabled up to the board, then the students in the room can see this as I'm writing and drawing. Okay, I can add little bits of text in. Flagellae, can make it a little bit bigger. I can move it around kind of reasonably easily. I can use my straight line tool, I really should, I guess, to, I'm going to just skip that right now, I'm going to be a naughty person. I'm going to use a non-straight labelling line to label my flagellae very nicely. If it is that I want to pull in a diagram from the internet, because I feel like cheating, then I can pull one across, which also kind of makes life a little bit more straightforward. If it is I want to have something ready-made, let's that across. They were happy days. Now, obviously, in order to do this, you need to have a graphics tablet. We have tried a few at school, I believe, and some staff have tried different ones. I think we've more or less settled on a Wacom Intuos Medium being the Taker tablet, the graphics tablet of choice. Personally, I have a small because I paid for it myself, because for some reason it didn't occur to me that I might ask school to pay for it. and I didn't feel I could spend like 197 euros on something if I wasn't sure I could get the money back for it. That's my problem. I have a teeny tiny one. I've learned to use it, so whatever. I believe that if you speak to Cecilia or Harold, that they will help you go through the process of purchasing one of these, so that you can use a virtual or online whiteboard more effectively in your classroom. The bonus of this as well, the advantage of this, is that after your lesson is finished, and you have your little sets of notes next to each other, as you've made your new screens, well, you can just file, export as, or save as. I'll go to save as. Let's save it as a PDF, and I'll save as scenarios for hybrid teaching. And when I've saved it as a PDF, then I can open it and I can share it with the students, again providing a little bit of a stopgap for students who are working from home. Now chaps, I hope that was useful. Here we are in the fractal world of screen sharing and screen capturing. I hope that today is useful. Please feel free to stop by the office with any questions or comments, and I hope that at least a few of you will be prompted to have a little spending spree on bol.com courtesy of the school. Now, chaps, take good care, and we'll see each other again, doubtlessly, in the building or on YouTube.